So sometimes living in Japan comes with frustration. And today was one of those days. And I wanted to get this video out before I forget what happened today. And also, I am Jake. Thank you for watching again. And it's about the Switch 2. So the Switch 2 came out this month, June 6th or June 5th, maybe. I bought a Switch about I think it was 7 years ago now. It was before my daughter was born. And I only bought about 4 games for it. One of them was Minecraft for my daughter. I remember I played Mario Odyssey, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, and then maybe Animal Crossing and the Mario collection, which was like Mario 64, Mario Odyssey, and Mario Sunshine, which is the best Mario 3D game, and I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, I didn't buy many games for the Switch, and I wasn't massively interested in getting a Switch 2. But you know how things go where you see things everywhere and you think, maybe I'll just see if I can get it. And then my daughter saw the commercial for Mario Kart World, and she loves playing Mario Kart in the arcade. And she was like, I want one. So, as kids do. I've had a few experiences of this living in Japan already. 7 or 8 years ago when the Switch came out, I actually didn't even bother. I waited about a year before I even got one because I didn't think the Switch looked very good. I was a big GameCube boy back in the day. Smash Bros. Melee, Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Let's see who remembers that. And then I had a Wii, and I don't think we ever really played the Wii that much. Didn't even bother with a Wii U. And then, of course, the 3DS was good, Pokemon and stuff like that. One of my favorite games on the Game Boy Advance, Golden Sun. Who can forget that? But back to the story. So I wasn't massively interested in the Switch, so I didn't bother. However, when it came to the PlayStation 5, I wanted to get one. Now, the way that Japan deals with these big releases is very, very different than the way other countries deal with these releases. And actually, they both have their positives and their negatives. So, in other countries, maybe America and the UK, those are the other ones I really know how they work. It's basically you buy them when it's available, and basically if you can press the button first, you can buy it. So people are able to maybe buy a lot of them and resell them because maybe they use kind of like bots or some kind of program that kind of tries to purchase from many different stores as fast as possible and then resell. We call it scalping. And obviously the big negative is some idiots will try and buy as many as they can. The stock will go. The people who actually want them can't buy them. And then the scalpers will sell them for a higher price. It doesn't seem with the Switch 2 actually that it was that big of a problem. With the PlayStation 5, it took ages to be able to get one. In Japan, the way that they do them, and you will see this with many different aspects of things being released in Japan, they love a good lottery. So you throw your name in a hat and hopefully you get drawn. Now, when I tried to get the PlayStation 5, it was a bit easier because you could just apply to all these places and hopefully you can get one. It did take about 7 or 8 months to get a PS5 in Japan. And actually, I'm not even the one who won the lottery. One of my friends who already had a PlayStation 5 won another lottery. And I had to go all the way to Ibaraki. It was about an hour and a half by train. We went to get it together. I gave them the cash, and then I took it an hour and a half to get home. But I got it. With the Switch 2, it kind of became a bit more sadistic. And this is the way that Japan does it a bit more fair, but in a really not good way for the consumer. But capitalism is obviously what it is. So the lottery system still exists, and things like Amazon, you can just click, when you have one, when the next lottery is something, please put me in it. They say invitation, but I guess it's just another lottery. And then what stores will do, and this is where things get really crappy, is that stores will have their lotteries only if you own a card with that store. So there's lots of different electronic stores like Kojima Denki and then Nojima Denki, Yamada Denki, all these different kinds of stores. And you can only do the lottery if you have a member's card with that thing. So you have to make all of these different points cards. And even if it's with a convenience, like Family Mart also had a lottery, and you had to make a membership, and you had to download the FamiPay app. And I could not get the actual lottery to activate because it would take me to the app. I would sign into the app, but then the app would take me back to the website, and then the website would take me back to the app, and it just never worked, so I gave up. And then Costco, of all places, just suddenly had some stock that you didn't need. Well, of course, Costco, you do need a membership to get in, but it's easy to get. And, you know, you should have, if you live near a Costco, you should have a Costco membership anyway. So I drove to Costco with my daughter at like 9 a.m. last Sunday, but they were all gone. It seems like many people were also there for a Switch 2 because everyone was crowding around, and they definitely didn't have any. Today, my wife noticed that a store called Big Camera had some stock. Now, here's the caveat, and this is where it gets really crappy. You can only buy one if you own a Big Camera credit card. So to buy a Switch in this national electronics store, you have to own a credit card for the store. Now, I don't really talk about finances much because, well, first of all, I don't make many videos, so I haven't had the opportunity to do so. I own some credit cards, but I prefer to deal with my money in cash or debit cards because I like to be very, I like to total how much I've got, how much I'm spending, and I like to see the reflection of my spending in my balance and my account. So you needed a credit card to get this Switch. And I feel like that's a really crappy way to deal with it because you are having to pay the membership fees for the thing and stuff like that. And also, you can't just get a credit card on the spot. Of course, you need to apply for a credit card and then wait for the approval and then wait for the delivery, signed delivery and stuff like that. So unless you just happen to have a credit card with this store, you can't get a Switch. It just so happens I did have a Big Camera credit card. And the reason for that is when I bought this house, we had to stock out this house with air conditioners. We bought a new TV. My wife's grandma gave us some money, so we bought like a new vacuum cleaner and stuff like that. We spent about $7,000 or $8,000 in one big shop. And so we could get as many points as possible and we could get like free installation and stuff like that. We opened a credit card with Big Camera because Big Camera Group involves other stores such as Kojima Denki. So I had a credit card, luckily. So I was like, okay, I might as well buy it. I'm going to buy a Switch 2 one day. I might as well buy it now. Drive to the city, but it's full of traffic. Stop at Eon Mall, and there's a train station in Eon Mall, so take the train. So that was a waste of half a car journey. Get to Big Camera, ask the staff. They say, yes, your credit card is fine. Go to the register and you can get a Switch. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Thank you so much. They say, which Switch do you want? And I wanted just the Japanese version because they made two versions in Japan. One only for Japanese language and Japanese region games, and then one which was international. But I got the Japanese one because when my Switch won, I literally never bought a single game that's not Japanese, and I don't really play online, and I never really travel anyway, so I'm not going to buy games from elsewhere, so I might as well just get the Japanese one. With the Mario Kart World Edition, and got an extra set of Joy-Cons so we can play 4-player, even though I've got no friends. And they put it all on the counter. Okay, it's going to be 63,000 yen, sir. You have to pay by credit card because that's the rule for this promotion. You have to have the credit card and you have to pay by credit card. So I was like, oh, bollocks, okay. Put the credit card into the machine, PIN number, boop, 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 boop. Your PIN is incorrect. Oh, silly me. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, error. I was like, oh, it's not my PIN number because it got to the next part, came up with an error. And they were like, oh, maybe sometimes the card machine's not working. Do it again. Error. Okay, what's going on here? So the staff is like, it's come up with an error code and the machine says, please call the credit card company. So the staff actually calls the credit cards company and gives me the phone. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to use this credit card. It's not working. I want to get my Switch 2. And they're like, oh, actually, your account's been deactivated because we want a new copy of your residence card, your Zaidu card, the cards that foreigners have to live in Japan. And I was like, what do you mean you need a new copy of my residence card? I haven't updated my visa because I'm a permanent resident. And they're like, oh, but just sometimes we want a new copy of a fresh copy of the card. And I was like, why would you? My details haven't changed. Same address, same phone number, same name, same face. Maybe a little bit fatter, but I've got the same face. So what would you need a new copy for? Like, my other credit cards don't do this. And they were like, yeah, we're really sorry. Like, please make a copy of your residence card, put it in an envelope and mail it to us within a week. And I'm like, no, I'm not sending a copy of my residence card in the mail to get my Switch, because the Switches will probably be gone by then, or I can get it from somewhere else. So I was like, and it's funny because the staff who served me was Chinese, and she said she's had a big camera credit card for like 6 years and they've never done that to her. And I can only assume maybe it's because I don't use the card that much, if ever. Since I got all the stuff in my house, I never used it. It hadn't expired, so I was like, oh, what a waste of time. Like, I'd traveled all that way. I was in my pajamas because I couldn't be bothered getting changed. And actually, these are my pajamas. I couldn't be bothered getting changed for this video either. So, and I went home. You know, it was hot, so I was sweating. I had to stand at the register for like 20 minutes. I was sweating, dejected. Couldn't get my Switch 2. And I was feeling this weird anger at Japan in this moment because, you know, when you get the stores and it's just whoever can buy it first and stuff like that, it's weird because the store just sells their stock. So the store isn't getting a massive incentive to hoard these Switches. They just sell them to people, and then if the people scalp and resell, that kind of becomes a problem between each other. Nintendo should make more consoles, but, you know, Nintendo does that kind of stuff. I think the thing that's kind of sinister with the Japanese style is companies are forcing you to engage more with their stores or their products, their points, their credit cards, in order to buy these things that everyone wants to buy. They're kind of taking advantage of the fact that people really want this stuff. So it's a good chance if they can get 100 people to sign up for their credit card in one day, you know, and if people are paying annual memberships and then forget to cancel and have to keep paying renewals, they get the additional profit on top of selling the consoles. So I guess businesses are free to do whatever they like, but it's up to them. But I do think it's kind of a BS way to go about their business. It's not really customer friendly, but I guess there's no perfect way to do it. Nothing is customer friendly. Nintendo should just make more, but that's never going to happen. So I ended up going home a bit annoyed, told my wife what happened. She was annoyed. I was like, yeah, F this country. I hate this place. No, I'm just joking. I was a bit annoyed though. It was like, this is such a Japanese thing to do. But then my wife was like, I'm going to give my mum a call 1 second. And it turns out that her mum had a big camera credit card. And I have a Switch 2 now. So, I have a Switch 2. There we go. So my wife's mother and father, who are at retirement age, went and bought me a Switch 2. So I'm 34 years old and I don't give an S. Thank you very much, mother and father-in-law. This is why it's good to have good relationships with your family, because one day they might buy the latest console for you. Of course, I paid money for it, but they got it for me. Feels like being a kid again. I remember when I bought Grand Theft Auto 4. Oh my God, would it have been 5? No, Grand Theft Auto 4, because I was only 16. And the shop wouldn't sell it to me. So I stood outside the store asking people who walked past the store, can you buy Grand Theft Auto for me? But yeah, I finally have a Switch too. Yeah, thanks all for watching, guys. And as the Switch says,